My name is Matea Popov. I work in two organizations in Croatia. One is called Rainbow Families Croatia and one is called Collective. The first one is focused on LGBT people who are parents, want to become parents and their families, so like family context. And another one is focused more on trans issues, so transgender, transsexual, gender variant, intersex people. Yeah, I work as a counselor, as a psychologist. So that's my line of work, along with some education work I do. Today there was a conference about minority group, and my field of expertise is also mental health and minority stress. I think that minority stress is a huge, big and important topic for LGBTQ community, so I came here to talk a little bit about that. Minority stress is some chronic stress that LGBTIQ people go through, and that is causing this constant fatigue of being a minority group in a very majority heteronormative and heterosexual society. So one might think that stress is about stressful events such as violence, discrimination, or any sort of disadvantage that we go through life. And of course stress is about that, but stress is not only about one or few life events, it is also about constant awareness that one might be discriminated against or that one might be a victim. So this constant expecting of stigmatization and expecting of different treatment is something that is really causing the constant pressure and fatigue among the LGBTIQ individuals and group as such, and it is causing something that we then call minority stress. Minority stress might be the cause of many mental health problems, because being constantly aware that something bad might happen, and something bad indeed might happen, because very often LGBTIQ people are victims of discrimination and violence. But this constant awareness and constant caution is creating a kind of a pressure that is then resulting in some mental health problems or even symptoms such as depression, anxiety. Our community is prone to addiction. Suicide rates are higher than are in majority in heterosexual population. So it really can take toll on our mental health. Minority stress is not something new. It's something that we are going through for years and years and years. What might be a bit new that we talk about that more. In other minority groups, minority stress is also known as a concept. For example, in black, brown and indigenous population in USA, they call it battle stress fatigue. And it is very similar to this concept. So through years, we knew this concept and we called it with different names, but we could always pinpoint this social stress that minority groups are going through. I think that we just started with this as a big topic, and I hope that we will have opportunity to talk more about this. But I don't think that the professional community is very aware of this phenomenon as such. During the years, psychologists and therapists thought that being LGBT friendly makes them a good therapist for LGBT people. And of course, it is like one really important thing that you cannot do the therapy or counseling without, if person is not LGBT friendly. But once we got that cleared out, and we realized that now most of the therapists and psychologists are indeed LGBTQ friendly, now we are realizing that there are some topics that these therapists and psychologists need to know while working with LGBTQ people. So being LGBTQ friendly is not good enough. We need to consider the social context that is influencing these individuals, and that is a very big factor while trying to understand why one is as it is. So we need to be aware of the social context in order to help the individual. We cannot take individual out of the context. And what I see happening now in therapist and psychologist community is just now people being more aware that equal treatment of LGBTQ people doesn't mean that we have equal experiences and that we have equal social contexts. So of course we are equal in a sense of how much we value our own lives and how much we are worth as a human beings, but we are not equal when we go out from the room where we are in therapy or in counseling, and that is something that both client and therapist need to be aware of and make it a part of the therapeutic or counseling process. Mental health of LGBTIQ persons is not same as mental health as heterosexual persons. It is not because people are LGBTIQ identifying, it is because we are living in heteronormative and homophobic society that is putting so much pressure on us. LGBTQ persons go through the same problems and life events as every other person. So we go to schools, we follow love, we go in and out of relationships, we go get jobs, get fired, change jobs. So we have the same stressors, but on top of that, we have this stressor that is very, very specific and that is creating this chronic and constant pressure, fatigue and stress. And that's why our mental health is not the same as mental health of heterosexual population. I think we need to be aware of this as LGBTIQ individuals and really work on the prevention and work of the awareness, because we can do things to improve our mental health. And also I think that professionals and system and such needs to be aware of this difference so it can support us. It can create spaces where we can ask and seek for help and for support once we realize that we have some problems. Mental health in Croatia is not very well taken care of, not in general population, not with LGBTIQ individuals. Of course, LGBTIQ individuals and community needs special care, but there is no sufficient care as such. So healthcare system is very ill-equipped for this kind of things, because it is not working on prevention, it is working on disorders and sickness when the sickness happens. And outside of the healthcare systems, there is only private practice, which costs a lot of money and not everyone can afford that. So what would be ideal is that we have some places that can offer mental health support in a way of counseling, if not therapy, where people can seek for some support that would be really free and available.